Now, welcome to another edition of Battle of the Heroes and Villains, where this time we'll be taking a look at the results of the poll for Pong Krell. We'll then see how he compares to all the other characters we've done thus far, before I then read and respond to some of your comments. But before any of that, you can already nominate and or vote for which character we should do next by responding to my pinned comment below with a character name, or voting with a thumbs up if the one you'd like to see is already listed. Whichever single comment gets the most votes in the next 24 hours or so will be the winner and the character we do next. Okay, and now on to the results for Pong Krell, where we'll see that 19% of voters believe him to be an A tier character, 50% then said B, 16% gave him a C, which left 4% to give him a D, and a final 11% to give him an F. And so when we do all the math here and consider A a score of 5 and F a score of 1, Pong Krell ends up with an average score of 3.62, which puts him into 41st place overall, which is actually quite a bit lower than I thought he might finish, and in a moment we will get to your comments and discuss some possible reasons why. But before that, let me once again say thank you to everyone who votes, comments, and watches these videos. It is all greatly appreciated, and also a big thank you to everyone who supports me over on Patreon and helps keep this channel going. Alright, and now let's start, as we always do, with the top rated comment, which this time came to us from S. Fisher 1993, who said, "For his personality, he gets an automatic F for being a total scumbag. Still, he gets a B. He's not nice, but that's the point. You're supposed to hate him." And there were quite a few comments very similar to this one, saying that the whole point of the character is to be hated. And, well, personally, I think he pulled that off extremely well, arguably better than any other Star Wars character I can really think of. And I do mean hated in story, where that was the point of the character. We, as the audience, are supposed to hate Pong Krell. He's not hated out of story because, well, he's poorly written or something else bugged people about him. However, maybe they did their job too well with him, which brings us to this comment from the Explodinator, who said, "I worry people will give him a poor grade because they hate him when he does what he's supposed to do excellently." There's also then this one from Slotty, who said, "Pong Krell was an amazing villain for the Umbara arc, so amazing that his score will get dragged down just because he is so unlikable. A for me." Okay, and though I don't ever want to say someone is wrong for the way they voted, after all, I have made it very clear from the start of all of this that these characters are to be judged on whatever criteria you deem to be fit. And though, yes, when tens of thousands of people on the internet partake in something or partake in anything, you're inevitably going to get some who will troll and give any character that pops up an F just because they can. Or you'll also get people voting who don't really even know the character at all, which likely happens a lot, especially when we do get a character like this one who is only in a handful of episodes during one Clone Wars story arc. And it does make me wish I could put more options on these polls, including one where people could say, "Hey, I don't know this character," which would be an interesting metric to measure in itself, how many people even know these characters in the first place. But anyway, I do think for better or worse, we had quite a few people give Pong Krell an F because they genuinely hate who and what he is in the story, which again, you're free to vote how you want and for whatever reasons you want. But I think if you hated him, if he elicited an emotional response from you like that, I'd argue he did his job as a character quite well and should be, you could say, rewarded with a higher score. This comment here from Nathan Emmerich, I think, sums it up quite well when he said, "I want to give him an F because I hate him, but we're supposed to hate him, so he deserves an A. Characters should only get an F when they are hated, but not supposed to be." And yeah, maybe you hated Pong Krell so much that you didn't want to see him get a high score, and you voted low because of that, and in a way I can certainly understand it, and I can even respect that to a degree. And so maybe in this case, we should view that 11% F as a sort of badge of honor, or maybe I should say a badge of dishonor. However, here there might be another explanation for some of those low scores, which brings us to this comment from Raymond Spargo, who said, "B, I really hated him, so he did his job right. The only thing was we barely got to know the real him." There was also this one from I'm the Reverse, who said, "By himself, he's really just a mustache-twirling villain. He doesn't have much of an arc, but he's great because of how he affects the surrounding characters. He is the catalyst of all the character development in one of the greatest arcs of the show. Also, he's a Jedi Dexter Jetster B+." Then we have this comment from Joshua Willis, who said, "He's menacing, intelligent, and genuinely dangerous. Great villain of the week material, so I give him an A." Then there's also this one from Epic Waluigi, who said, "I actually think that Krell isn't written very well. To me it feels like he's just a bad guy for the sake of wanting power. It's much less compelling than most Star Wars villains. If it weren't for the fantastic episodes he was in, I don't think many would remember him well. He doesn't have a great motivation." Okay, so in many ways, yes, you could say as a character on his own or taken out of the context of what he's even in, he's little more than the mustache-twirling villain of the week. There isn't a whole lot of backstory or motivation with him. However, the reason why the Umbara arc is so fantastic is because of him. So I don't think you can fairly say if it weren't for the fantastic episodes he was in, I don't think many would remember him well, when he is the reason the episodes were fantastic, or a big reason why they were fantastic, even if he isn't a well fleshed out character on his own. And in this case, I'm fine with him coming out of the blue, essentially. I'm glad we had no idea who or what this character was all about before we seen him in these episodes, that there are no previous episodes that maybe sort of set up his turn to the dark side here. Because part of the beauty of this arc is seeing how taken aback the clones are by a corrupt or evil Jedi General, and we kind of get to experience that with them. We know the Jedi can go bad, we've seen it elsewhere with Anakin and so on, but he's still catching us off guard too. We're right there in the trenches with the clones wondering, what do we do about this Jedi? Why is he acting like this? And so Krell not being developed as well as he could have in this story arc, and yes, I think more could have been done with him to make him a better villain all around if they wanted to. But him not being developed doesn't bother me because the arc wasn't about him. It was about the clones having to respond to something they were completely unprepared to face, something that didn't make sense to them at all. And I think you could argue not knowing anything about his motivations to the very end makes him even scarier in some ways. Alright, and next up here we have this one from Luke Simmons, who said, "He makes the clones' characters so much greater. It has always been emphasized that they are individuals, but during this arc, we truly get to see how different they all are. Krell is the device through which this happens. Solid B for me." And I couldn't agree more. I'm not sure any arc in the Clone Wars conveys better how each clone is indeed an individual, or how they all react differently to different situations, more so than this one. Like I was saying, this arc is not about Pong Krell. It's about how the clones react to something completely foreign and unusual to them. How do they react to someone they're quite literally programmed to follow and obey when that person not only doesn't care about them, but seems to recklessly not care about them, if that makes sense? And yeah, again, I agree that if we remove Krell from the episode and look at him independent of it and try to judge him as a character that way, maybe he's a C or a D, or maybe you can make a case that he's an F. And so no, again, I don't think you're wrong if you voted that way, if you gave him a low score here. But I do think you should ask yourself if he made you feel something, good or bad, and yeah, probably bad in this case, because feeling something is what characters in stories are supposed to do. And sometimes, and I certainly include myself in this, I'll admit I love to overanalyze at times, but I think we get a little too caught up at looking at things like character development and story arcs when maybe the real things we should be concerned about or questions we need to answer are, did you enjoy the story? Did it make you feel something? Did you care about these characters one way or another? Did you want to see some succeed and others fail? And if you come away with yeses to those questions, then it was a good story, plain and simple. And I think the Umbara arc gets a lot of yeses from me, and in large part that's because of Pong Krell. Alright, now time for a few final comments before wrapping this up, starting with this one from Cameron Sharp, who said, "Superb character, instantly sets the tone with his dismissive conversations with Rex and his disinterest in clone lives. There is a low-angle sweeping shot in, I believe, the second episode of the arc, where the 501st are being absolutely decimated by the Umarans, and behind a plant is Jesse, Tup, Dogma, Fives, Rex, Hardcase, and Kix, fighting for their lives, while in the middle of them, amid the storm of havoc and fire, stands Krell, completely unfazed to the danger his men around him are in, while cautiously accepting Kenobi's orders, and complains that he's taking longer than expected, like something out of a Michael Bay film. It displayed his character perfectly. Also, one of the few Jedi who had a vision of Order 66 and the rise of the Sith. Shame we never see him in a lightsaber fight, because I'm pretty sure he'd go toe-to-toe with literally anyone. high B, arguably A. Next, then, we have this one from A. McKittrick, who said, "When hating a character is a good thing. I enjoyed his arc and thought it was interesting showing the relationship between clones and Jedi from a new angle. Clones are supposed to trust Jedi and follow orders without question, but this arc challenges that when a Jedi betrays that trust." Then we have this one from CyberSketcher11, who said, "If we're talking about well-written, then A. If it's as a person, F." Also have this one from Dat Guy, who said, "Amazing antagonist. He's the perfect foil for Rex and the clones, and he is truly despicable. I like that we get to see another fallen Jedi." We then have this one from Odin the German Shepherd, who said, "Total badass. Sure, he was a bad guy, but a total badass character nonetheless." Then we also have this one from Noah Nass, who said, "His voice actor was amazing, all I have to say." Also, we have this comment from SF, who said, "He was the main villain of a top 3 arc in Clone Wars, and he's one of the reasons it's a top 3 arc." Moving on, we also have this one from Wario Joe, who said, "Finally, the time has come to review one of the most powerful Star Wars characters. He was an awesome villain and was part of possibly the best arc in all of Clone Wars. I just had to give him an A for the 4 arms and 2 staff sabers alone. Such a cool character." Then there's this one from Star Wars or something, who said, "When I watched the Umbara arc with my dad, he said Krell reminded him of a boss at work, LOL." Then there's also this one from Caleb, who said, "He's like the Dolores Umbridge of the Star Wars universe, B+ for me." And yeah, I think we've all had teachers or bosses that certainly feel like Pong Krell. Also then this one from Sawasa Bird, who said, "A great hateable villain, also Apocalypse Now Star Wars edition." And finally, this comment from Zach Nix, who simply said, "I legitimately couldn't stand him, therefore he gets an A." Well, that's all I've got for you this time. Now it's your turn to tell me what you think of Pong Krell, or what you think of what I or anyone else had to say about him here in this video. Or you can feel free to nominate and or vote for which character we do next. Either way, leave a comment below and let's talk some Star Wars. And until next time, thanks for watching.